Well, what I want to talk about is something I meant to talk about some time ago. And it's about understanding or getting a grasp of understanding of the cohesion between the left and right brain hemispheres. So what's been referred to as hemisync. So having a cohesion between the left brain and the right brain hemisphere, both of which do different things. So I'll start this discussion first of all by asking you a question, right? General question: what kind of men and women would it take to fix this world? You know, hypothetically, if we could start again, what kind of men and women would it take to make real productive and positive changes to this world? So having an understanding of left and right brain coherence, along with its importance in relation to the true attainment of logic from a balanced, rational, caring perspective. So the kind of men and women that I believe would go some way massively towards repairing the damage done within this world would be those that understood left and right brain coherence. Those that had, first of all, balance. Balance is a primary factor of consideration here. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, if we have two brain hemispheres, left and right, both serve a different purpose. I really suggest that you take a deep look, or a deeper look, into this understanding between the functions of the left brain hemisphere and the functions of the right brain hemisphere. For now, I'll strive to explain it as best as my understanding will allow. Starting first with the left brain hemisphere. So the left brain, in its main sense, relates to so-called logic, forward focus, direction, linear thinking, black and white, maths, mathematical equations. In its most primal and predatory sense, the left brain hemisphere fight, fuck and feed. It is linear driven to go forward and get, go forward and take right now, without any conscious thought of, or empathic thought I should say, as to the consequences of what harm that could cause. Its direction is linear, go forward, go get, command, control and take. Make happen now. It relates to the need to control, and it is involved in all factors relating to war. Left brain is predatory. In contrast, the right brain hemisphere is responsible for creativity, ideas, care, intuition, good judgment, empathy, love, art, music, freedom, peace, imagination and happiness. I think if you've watched any of my clips before, you have an understanding of the message that I'm trying to put out there, you already get an idea of where this is going. So if somebody is just right brain coherent and they are stuck in the polarity of just right brain, peace, love, care, empathy, intuition, creativity, etc. Some call this the feminine aspect, whereas the left brain is often considered the masculine aspect. The masculine aspect of forward drive, and the feminine aspect of holding space. Well, if you are right brain polarity in its entirety, you are defenseless. You are left with no ability to protect yourself. Such an induced state of right brain polarity would make you prey-like. Now let's say for a moment that it was the benevolent intention of creation that being human was intended from a left brain and a right brain perspective, balanced and cohesive, driven from a heart space. But in short, both left and right brain were intended to work cohesively together, from a heart space in tune with your entire soul, along with a healthy, actively firing pineal gland. So left and right brain coherent, operating from an open heart space of care with an actively firing pineal gland. This to me would be the definition of a full spectrum being. Somebody that is capable of understanding both polarity extremes, left and right, and the entire spectrum within, and operating from any of those elements when called upon, from a benevolent heart space. I believe it would be this left-right brain cohesion, this full spectrum activation, that allows us to be actively conscious, as opposed to passively conscious, just watching our life go by without any control. I'm talking about actively conscious, being a co-creator of your experience with you in the driving seat. Now, if we return to the attributes that each side of this left-right brain hemisphere offers in terms of cause-effect, we can clearly start to see a picture forming that clearly dictates why this world is the way it is, along with some indications possibly of how we might fix it. So let's employ the raider settler analogy. This comes from one of my friends, Lex. So the left brain is the raider. It comes to seek and destroy, and wants, rather demands, to control everything, wiping it clean of all elements and resources until everything is bare and barren. A bit like what has been done to the earth, really. Whereas the right brain is the settler, the planter of seeds seeking agriculture in order to settle and grow and thrive as an ecosystem. The focus and linear applied drive of the left brain, used in conjunction with the intuitive creativity, compassion and love from the right brain, operating from a soul space with an active pineal gland, is how I believe divine creation intended us to be human, operating from a place of self-care, care for family, care for community on a global collective level. That's how I believe it was meant to be. Here we would have our own active consciousness integrating with the very best attributes of the left and right brain hemispheres. But this is not where we are, is it? Not by a fucking long shot. But this is missing. If you look at all power constructs that control the world, consciousness to this degree is missing. Indeed, consciousness is missing from all power constructs that control this planet and clearly have rule over this world. By consciousness, again, I mean that left and brain balanced cohesion operating from a heartfelt space. Instead, there is only this left brain dominant polarity, this linear forward, go get, take, destroy, do, command, control, raider construct of the brain. That is the primary focus. And this is dominant in all power constructs: government, policing, military, secret service, finance, education, and all of the little three-letter bureaus such as the CIA, FBI. All education, religion, big pharma, law courts, so-called judicial system, banking, you name it, all things that are supposed to design and guide the way we live are all left brain driven, without any sign of the right brain counterpart. Everything has been left brain hijacked and is therefore tyrannical. Take a look at all of these things that I've just mentioned from the perspective that I'm suggesting and tell me how inside. Now, leadership, governing, policing and law have all accumulated clearly a bad rap in terms of the use of such words. Anyone awake will have a negative association to such linguistics due to the left brain tyrannical control that has driven all of these factors for way too long. The term governmental, for example, govern means to control, mental, mind, or in simple layman terms, mind control. We will take a deeper look into linguistics in terms of the deceptive use of the English language as we go on. For now, understand that there is artifice and trickery at every turn with these parasites. So I no longer would allow myself to voice the term so-called elite, because that's an empowering term. They're nothing more than parasites that rule this planet. Regardless of that, the terms policing, governance, do describe elements that we would need to be in place in order to sustain a healthy community and a society as a whole. If you take the word governance, for example, it has a place on many levels, one being your own personal health, well-being and personal discipline. You should govern and control your palate, watching what you consume on all levels in order to stay healthy, fit and well. So the term governance belongs there. Such things do require policing on your part in order to maintain discipline so that you can achieve the greatest outcome. And so it is for personal goals, maintenance of a good healthy work ethic and all those things so that you may prosper in life. So governance and policing on a personal level is needed. On a societal scale, the only law that I believe that we should all follow is natural law, God's law, which is simply do not steal. Do not steal my time. Do not steal my health. Do not steal my wealth. Do not steal my livelihood. Do not steal my freedom. Do not steal my autonomy. Nor will I steal from you. I'm pretty sure if the ancestry of all previous generations had had the start that divine creation intended for us all, completely unfucked with, then for all this time I think we would have figured that out for ourselves. Nonetheless, the guidelines to what is and what is not acceptable in terms of human behaviour would and must be established by communities as a whole. So policing and governance would need to present itself here also. The clear and simple problem is that governance and policing is totally left brain driven and clearly tyrannical, and therefore in the wrong fucking hands. And this is the way it has been for way too long. Governance and policing occurs in nature naturally. That's why all sentient beings should live in accordance with the harmony of nature. All plants, all animals, the entire ecosystem within the natural world understand this. Misdirected, coerced and totally fucked with humans are the only ones that don't understand this. And again, this was intentional. That is why we are not part of a natural ecosystem that helps each other, but are instead swimming and drowning in an ecosystem of divide, separation and a dog-eat-dog existence, all of which was totally intentional. Such a system of governance and policing could work just so long as the minds behind it were implementing their approaches and decisions from that all-essential balance point. That balance point of left and right brain cohesion. Because to do so would add the two most essential forgotten ingredients that would make it work. That being care and morality, along with a concern to clearly understand the difference between right and wrong. Instead of this left brain driven malevolent despise of humanity as a race living on this planet that is seen to them no more as cattle, energy to be harvested just like a battery. Now just imagine for a moment the so-called governance and powers that be that steer the destiny of this earth as we know it did actually employ the very best of the left and right brain hemisphere attributes from that heartfelt benevolent space. Just imagine that all they sought was for the earth's inhabitants to thrive. It is this divinity of forward drive left brain, along with the care, love and compassion of right brain, that I believe makes a full spectrum being on all levels, mind, body and spirit. These are most certainly the primary ingredients for a peaceful warrior, for the grey Jedi or the warrior poet, battling to maintain such a balance. This I believe is where the entire concept of the warrior monk was born from this balanced, neutral, grey, dark, light, grey centre point. And this is, I believe, where future generations of men and women should strive to be, if indeed any future change is going to be made. Such a soul would know both polarities of good and evil, but would seek that neutral, balanced point from a benevolent heart. A soul-driven being that will fight till the end to maintain that equilibrium. Such a soul would love and create good on this earth with a passion, and would absolutely steal your fucking face should you strive to stifle their freedom or their love of life or their God-given right to prosper. A good-hearted, dangerous person that would be willing to stand, fight, kill, and if necessary die for all that they seek to love and protect. We would need a fusion of that raider-settler analogy, a fusion of dark and light, that grey Jedi that we talked about before, but as a full spectrum being that is capable of both extremes and every degree of spectrum in between. Imagine, if you would, strong communities of such men and women, the way divine creation intended us to live, living consciously, fusing together the very best that modern technology has to offer, geared towards rebuilding and replenishing this earth, creating thrival for all future generations. Governance and policing of all things in the right way is what I believe would heal this world. They are the kind of people that would help heal this world. Such full spectrum warriors who would be willing to work and rebuild something truly amazing whilst being totally willing and capable to take out the fucking trash. These are the kind of people that will fix this world. So clearly, right brain in its entirety would make you food that will be eaten, prey for left brain driven predators. To be driven only by left brain driven dominance is why we are here where we are at this time in humanity's history. So there needs to be a third truth, that which is from a loving heart, but a fucking badass that is willing to stand and do what must be done. Equilibrium is what would allow the best from both polarities. Peace.